Let me ask you a question. Did you drink milk today? Eat eggs? Eat chicken? Good. Now let me tell you something about the milk many Americans are drinking right now. A study published in the journal PLOS Biology just this week, in May 2026, found H5N1 in the air on dairy farms. In the air. Not just in milk. Not just through direct animal contact. In the air that workers breathe during milking, and that changes everything we thought we knew about how close this virus is to us. H5N1. Bird flu. The virus that since 1997 has killed nearly half of all people it infected, 48%, almost every other person. The virus that is already in more than 1,000 dairy farms in the United States. That has already spread to humans, rarely for now, and which a professor of virology at the University of Glasgow described in one phrase, "It is completely out of control." Stay with me, because today I'm going to tell you what every evening news broadcast should have been saying, and what most people don't know about the glass of milk on their table. Let's get the basics clear, because H5N1 is not just the bird flu you've heard about in the news. It is something far more complex and dangerous. H5N1 is a strain of influenza type A virus, highly pathogenic. This means it causes severe disease with very high mortality in birds, hence the name highly pathogenic avian influenza. The virus has existed since the 1990s. The first human cases were recorded in Hong Kong in 1997. 18 people, 6 died. Since then, more than 1,000 confirmed cases in humans across 25 countries, and 48% of them died. 48. That is not a slip of the tongue. Almost every other infected person died. For comparison, the average fatality rate of COVID-19 was around 1%. The fatality rate of the 1918 Spanish flu that killed 20 to 50 million people, approximately 2.5%. The fatality rate of H5N1 in humans, 48%. But here is what kept people from panicking all these years. The virus transmitted very poorly from person to person. You could get infected from a sick bird, but not from an infected person standing next to you. That one property alone kept H5N1 from becoming a pandemic. The key word is kept, past tense. Because in 2024, something happened that no scientist expected, and it changed the entire picture. In March 2024, H5N1 was found in U.S. dairy cattle for the first time in history. It came like a thunderbolt from a clear sky. Cows were considered practically resistant to influenza type A. Nobody expected this virus to make such a jump, and yet it jumped. Just over 2 years have passed since then, and here is where we are now. More than 1,000 U.S. dairy farms have confirmed H5N1. In California alone, more than 700 infected herds in one state. The virus has spread to 16 states. The U.S. government has spent more than $1,190 million compensating farmers for losses. Egg prices have soared, precisely because of H5N1, which infected and killed hundreds of millions of chickens. 71 confirmed human infections in the U.S., 2 of them fatal. These are farm workers, people working in direct contact with infected animals. Doesn't sound so terrifying? Wait, because a study published in PLOS Biology this week found something that scientists described as surprising. The virus was found in the air of milking parlors, in the air that workers breathe, in farm wastewater, and, most alarmingly, in cows showing no symptoms of illness at all. Wait, this means the virus is spreading on farms invisibly. Infected cows look healthy, their milk enters production. And this is where the story stops being only about farm workers. Let's talk about this study in more detail, because it changes everything we thought we knew about H5N1. Risks. Scientists from Emory University collected air, wastewater, and milk samples from 14 California dairy farms confirmed as H5N1 positive. The results were published in PLOS Biology in May 2026. Here is what they found. First, virus in the air of milking parlors. These are enclosed spaces where cows and workers are in close contact with unpasteurized milk. The milking process creates fine aerosols, tiny droplets that contain virus and that workers breathe in. The researchers wrote directly, "Dairy parlors pose the greatest threat from inhalation of the virus to dairy farm workers." Second, virus in the exhaled breath of cows. Cows are literally breathing out the virus. Third, virus in farm wastewater. This is water used to flush milking equipment to irrigate fields. In wastewater lagoons visited by migratory birds, which can spread the virus further. Fourth, and this is the most important, H5N1 antibodies were found in the milk of apparently healthy cows. This means some cows were infected, recovered, and nobody noticed. The infection passed undetected. Unpasteurized milk from such cows may have contained virus. One of the study's authors, Seema Lakdawala, stated directly, "Our data confirm the presence of infectious H5N1 virus in the air and reclaimed farm wastewater sites. This was a surprising finding. Surprising for scientists who were specifically looking for virus on infected farms. And now the main question you are probably asking right now, is the milk I buy at the store safe? I will answer honestly and precisely. Let me answer honestly, because here it is important not to frighten but to give accurate information. Pasteurized milk, the kind sold in stores, is safe. Pasteurization heats milk to a temperature sufficient to kill H5N1. The FDA and CDC confirm pasteurized milk poses no risk of H5N1 infection. That is important to state clearly. A different story with raw unpasteurized milk. In the US, it is sold in certain states in health food stores. It is specifically in raw milk from infected farms that H5N1 has been found at high concentrations. The FDA strongly recommends do not drink raw milk, especially now. Store-bought eggs, safe with proper cooking. The virus dies with heat. Chicken from the store, safe with proper cooking. Good. So the average consumer is safe. Mostly. But here is what concerns scientists. The real danger is not in a glass of milk. The real danger is in the next step the virus could take. And this is what scientists are talking about with growing alarm. What exactly needs to happen for H5N1 to become the next pandemic? And how far is it from that right now? This is the most important question, and I have the answer. Here is what stands between us and an H5N1 pandemic. One thing, one mutation. For H5N1 to become a pandemic virus, it needs to acquire the ability for sustained human-to-human transmission. That does not exist right now. 71 cases in the US, all from contact with animals, not from other people. That is the good news. But here is what Professor Jeremy Rossman of the University of Kent says. High levels of viral circulation across multiple species increases the odds of the virus evolving into a strain with high transmissibility in humans. Let me translate that into plain language. Every time the virus infects a new animal, it gets a chance to mutate. A cow got infected from a bird. The virus adapted to cows. A farm worker got infected from a cow. The virus got experience working inside a human body. Each such event is one more step toward the mutation that could change everything. And right now, H5N1 is circulating at unprecedented scale. More than 180 million birds infected in the US. More than 1,000 dairy farms. Sea lions, bears, foxes. More and more mammal species drawn into the epidemic. Professor Hutchinson from the University of Glasgow said directly, "There is no reason to be relaxed. There are reasons to hope, and there are reasons to be alarmed. But there is definitely no reason to be relaxed." The good news, and it is real, vaccines exist. The US has stockpiles of H5N1 vaccine doses. European countries have begun poultry vaccination, and it works. France cut outbreaks by 96% after beginning vaccination. The antiviral Tamiflu is effective against H5N1 when used early, but there is something that is almost never discussed in the news. what is happening with surveillance of this virus right now in 2026, and this may be the most alarming part of the entire story. Here is what scientists say when they are not on camera. H5N1. Surveillance in the United States is uneven and insufficient. This is not my assessment. This is the assessment of the scientists themselves, published in BBC Science Focus. Professor Rossman stated directly, effective containment hinges on broad coordinated surveillance of infection in multiple animal populations, as well as monitoring and testing for animal workers at these farms. This can allow for management of any infected flocks or herds, rapid identification of human spillover cases, and early detection of new mutations. All of this is logical, but here is the problem. Farm worker testing is voluntary. Many farmers refuse monitoring, fearing quarantine and financial losses. Some states report cases, others do not. The national response is fragmented. This means we do not know the real scale of viral spread among humans. 71 cases, that is what has been found and confirmed. The real number may be higher, and here is what one of the leading scientists in this field says. The next outbreak may not be as contained. This is not catastrophism. This is a sober scientific assessment of a situation in which a virus with a 48% fatality rate is actively evolving at unprecedented scale, while surveillance systems are not operating at full capacity. And finally, what to do personally, concretely and practically, because this is not just a story about American farmers. Here is what I want you to take away from this conversation, not panic. Understanding and concrete steps. First, do not drink raw unpasteurized milk. Right now, especially, pasteurized milk from the store is safe, but raw milk is not. This is the only real dietary restriction that scientists are recommending right now. Second, if you work on a farm or in close contact with poultry or livestock, use protective equipment: gloves, masks, protective goggles. The CDC has developed specific recommendations for farm workers, link in the description. Third, if you have flu symptoms after contact with birds or livestock, see a doctor immediately. Mention the contact. Tamiflu is effective when used early. Fourth, follow CDC and WHO updates on H5N1. The situation changes quickly, especially during the summer bird migration season. And finally, what I want you to remember, we are not in 2020. We have vaccines, we have Tamiflu, we have monitoring systems, imperfect but functioning. H5N1 has not yet taken the step that would turn it into a pandemic, but it is taking more and more intermediate steps, and each one brings it closer to that single mutation. The difference between a catastrophe and its prevention is awareness, yours and mine. That is precisely why I am here.